What's up, y'all? Jason here. It's a rainy Friday evening in downtown Winston-Salem, and I'm going to see my buddy Tim, drummer for my favorite band, Companion. He's got a really cool solo act called Hyperkill, which might be the best name for anything, and he's playing tonight. Let's go check it out. Well, this is Tim starting off. So, Tim, tell me, what is Hyperkill?
So Hyperkill is essentially just me on the drums with a laptop, hoping for the best. But it's something that I do that's electronic and it's experimental, and there's no click track or backtracks. Sometimes I might have some samples that'll help me keep time. That's pretty rare, and for the most part I'm cueing all these synthesizers myself with sensors on the drums and all the triggers. Yeah, it's a big headache. I might need a second therapist. I'm mostly using like a Boss AB foot switch. And so for that, I do a lot of the like cueing samples, but they're kind of sliced individually, so I can get each note. Every time I hit it, it's gonna play my next note in the sequence. And using gates on my kick drum trigger to open and let sound in, so I get more like exact. So it's different in that I can change the tempo instantaneously. So whereas obviously a click track, you are on a grid, which is not bad, and I enjoy that as well. I'm not like that person who's like these other guys, you know, they play to a click, you know. Sometimes I'm doing it this way and I'm like, why did I do this? But yeah, I can change tempo instantly. I can change the feel of everything and improvise with synthesizers and drums, which is something that was never available to drummers really until the last probably 8 years or so.
Do you think making music with a laptop is cheating?
I don't know, the idea of like cheating in music is a really funny thing. I don't know if that's possible, because like then you just made up that standard. Like that's not in a rule book anywhere. This is a digital age. So like part of me wants to say like get with it a little bit, you know, like I don't see how it possibly could be cheating. Maybe in that like I use like the packs that come in Ableton where it's like it writes all the chords for you. Like that's maybe, yeah, like a little bit. I just like keep like pushing a parameter until it's not dissonant. I'm like, there it is.
So, is playing music live with computers on stage cheating? Well, if it is, then we have a lot to discuss. Now, to narrow the focus of what we're talking about a little bit, I'm not necessarily talking about playing to a click. The conversation of how playing to a click influences the way we play our instruments, that's another video for another time. Specifically, today I'm talking about the synthesis or sample playback of what we call virtual instruments, of digitally recreating sounds live on stage. So the great Adam Neely does a video where he touches on this topic. He talks about what's called acousmatic music, which is sound that has been liberated from an explanatory way of listening. And this gets us into the conversation of the lies that we readily accept from musical performances. Think about it. Any keyboard you see on stage that isn't an actual acoustic piano or a Rhodes or a Wurlitzer or a synthesizer, but technically including a synthesizer, is a sampler. It's an electronic device that's playing back short recorded samples of audio individual to each key on the keyboard, but you don't hear any musical purists complaining about that. What about microphones? The singer can't sing that loud. The microphone and the PA system that it's connected to is amplifying the performance to a volume that it could not naturally carry, in defiance of God and the laws of physics, but nobody gets mad about that. My friend and extraordinary drummer Steve Gould, I saw in a video several years ago, back when he was playing drums for Sarah Bareilles, he was talking about using an SPD SX drum pad on stage to trigger electronic drum sounds. Now, Sarah Bareilles' music is not music you would immediately associate with electronic drums, but as Steve explains it, it's a tonal issue. That's an aesthetic choice that Steve is making, because there are drum sounds that are signature to some of those songs, and so for the song to be what it needs to be, it needs those sounds, when he just as easily could have made a similar enough sound on the real acoustic drum kit. I remember reading an article about 21 Pilots, a band that famously uses a lot of backing tracks on stage, being just a singer and a drummer, and they said, we're really proud of our backing tracks. We worked really hard on them, so we want people to hear them, which I thought was such a great answer. Now, lately, their shows have been featuring a full band, and I don't think that's them caving to any pressure to be a real band. I think that's just an artistic and aesthetic decision that they made to keep performing live fun and interesting and exciting for them, because really that's what every artist on the planet is doing. It's this ongoing quest that only ends in death, of just keeping what you're doing as interesting as possible. Look at Beck's live show. There's a lot of sample playback happening because on his albums, Beck basically is making hip-hop records, but live, the band doesn't play to a click track. Everything's being triggered live on stage by the musicians. If there ever is a click in the band's ears, that's being played live by the drummer on a trigger pad. And I assume there's some MIDI syncing going on so that when it plays back a long sample, it's in tempo, but I love that idea, a manual click track, so you can push and pull and still play music like humans, but everything stays in sync. I even heard that Dream Theater does the same thing, so the drummer can silently count off the band, and nobody is going to say that frickin' Dream Theater can't get it done on their instruments. So why do it this way? Again, it's an aesthetic choice. So an interesting metaphor that this brings to mind is my beard. So I recently shaved because last week I had a gig that was a little fancier, so I needed to look fancy. And I regret it because literally this morning I thought of this metaphor. So I'm in my mid-30s, I'm getting a little bit older, and so that means I have gray hair starting to come in. You could even see those hairs in previous videos, like the one where me and Penelope are walking around the old neighborhood, and I'm talking about guitars. But go to the very next video, and you don't see as many gray hairs. That's because I used some over-the-counter men's beard dye. And this was an aesthetic decision that I made. And I can tell you with 100% honesty that it had nothing to do with any kind of ego or delusion about the way I look or getting older. I'm not afraid of getting older. I don't mind going gray. In fact, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think I'll pull the look off. But when I looked at my face on the video, I didn't like the way those handful of gray hairs looked in my beard. I literally thought I'd rather see none of those gray hairs or 2 to 3 times as many. But this in-between amount, I just wasn't vibing with, so I went to the store, got some Just for Men. It took like 5 minutes, and I have no shame telling you this because I completely see it as a choice of preference, not trying to cover anything up. And I think that right there is the heart of this conversation about using computers in live music. Are you using technology in a creative way, or is it something that you hide behind? With so many advancements in technology, functionally making music has never been easier, but does that automatically mean there's all this incredible new music out in the world? Not necessarily, because you can have an endless array of tools at your disposal, but you still have to know how to use them, and you still have to have something to say with them. So thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. I'll end on this, circling back to my buddy Steve and the first time he ever used an electronic drum pad on stage. It was when he had joined the live band for Owl City, obviously very electronic music, but they were doing these fleshed out full rock band arrangements of the songs live. When he first joined the band, he was a fill-in, stepping into somebody else's gig, and so he was covering somebody else's performance. And the band leader gave him their Roland Octopad with all the drum sounds for all the songs loaded into it so he could get accustomed to it. Now, a much younger Steve was initially resistant. He said they had a lot of backing tracks, so why couldn't the electronic drum parts just be covered in the playback stems and he'll just focus on playing the drum kit? And what the band leader said to Steve, I still think about to this day when I'm thinking practically through how to use technology on stage. He said what they figured out along the way is that people really like to watch you make an effort. If people see you physically doing something on stage, even if it's electronic or synthetic, rather than just sitting motionless, waiting for the next real part to play, they'll be more bought in, more invested, more excited about what you're doing because they're seeing that you're putting forth an effort. So really, when I go see your band play live, I don't care if you're completely old school analog or cutting edge digital. I just want to see you making an effort. Because really, what is the definition of cheating if not a tactic meant to replace sheer effort? So in the year 2022, are we all cheating?
I just love the fact that I got you on camera saying I'm a cheater.
I'm a cheater. Yeah, I cheated.
Perfect.